Wait a minute. He kinda looks like a baby. Come here, I'm gonna eat you! I'm bigger than you, I'm higher in the food chain! Get in my belly!
Which animal poops coffee beans? It has been produced from the coffee.
You have to start it there.
Which animal poops coffee beans? It has been produced from the coffee beans, which have been digested by a certain Indonesian cat-like animal called the palm civet or civet cat.
The civet cat. Yeah. I
This
actually know what
so
that is.
basically they grow the beans. They feed the beans to, or no, I don't know if they feed the beans to it, or I think it just eats off the plantations wherever they grow them.
The beans in the feces.
No,
that's how they. That's
the knockoff. Yeah,
that's
a knockoff.
It's a knockoff. They circumvent the process.
They have bags that say these were
made in China,
put in beans or something.
That's awesome.
But really, their get around is just putting it in the feces.
Yeah. So basically, you feed them to the civet cat, and it poops it out, and then I think refine it a little bit, but that's you use the poop. That's I just saw bags are $250.
Use the poop coffee.
Poop coffee.
Poop coffee.
That's that brings a whole new meaning to every part of the buffalo. But why?
The buffalo?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Have you ever heard this saying? Every part of the buffalo, Native.
I've heard everybody's got a water buffalo.
Yours is fast and mine is slow. Oh my goodness! All right, we're just gonna cut that story off right there. Not even.
No, you can keep going. I didn't.
No, but there's a saying.
He's telling a story.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm used to it. Nobody wants to listen to me.
No, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Dang.
I'm the host, so I cut people off.
He is the demigod.
When Josh gives me a look, I cut the people off. I'm like the bad guy.
How do you tell what his look is?
He's got a look.
I've got the look.
It's not like a specific look. He just looks at me like you should start. And I'm like, all right, people, stop!
Everybody out of the pool.
Everyone out of the pool.
Blows the whistle.
Who's dying?
I was gonna whistle as loud as I possibly could, but
that wouldn't
have been nice.
I would have deafened myself.
That would have been a bad idea.
If I had earplugs in, I would have done it.
I was saying you don't even have your headphones on, so
I don't.
Come on,
it's always too loud for me.
Richardson, get out of the pool.
I don't like hearing myself talk.
No can do. Dave.
Yeah. Can I have those stickers?
Yes.
Right now?
I need to pretend like we're presenting them.
Stickers.
Even though nobody can see them.
Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pop Culture Punks podcast.
Hello.
We took a couple weeks off.
Family issues.
Personal things. I was on a trip to Texas.
Just a funeral, not like Josh and I were battling each other for, the ultimate power or anything.
Battle of the gods, baby.
Battle of the gods.
Because that's normal.
Wow, way to ladder off my joke with that vague statement.
Yeah, welcome back to another week of the Pop Culture Punks podcast. We are sorry for being gone, but we are glad to be back.
Mm-hmm. And we will be going back to our normal schedule.
Yeah, every week.
Yeah.
So this week is brought to you by
Bran Flakes. Whole new taste. Bran Flakes.
I mean, they probably do taste like Bran Flakes, but
Coffee
it's actually
from
brought
the
to you by
of the civet cat.
Brought to you by Kopi Luwak.
Kopi Luwak.
The civet cat poop coffee.
So this is the sticker equivalent of the Kopi Luwak. It is.
It's valuable, but
it's valuable, worth a lot of money, but the average person probably wouldn't eat it.
Or want it.
Why don't you tell us what it really is, Phil?
So what really is bringing this episode to you is Pop Culture Punks stickers, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
But I have them in my hands now. They exist. I'm shuffling through them. And if you want one, I just handed them to Josh. Oh, listen to that.
Great call on that one,
listen
Phil.
to that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful sound.
Isn't it?
Do it again.
It's a very disconcerting.
That's almost as satisfying as sniping somebody yesterday in Call of Duty.
You ready? You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah! Yes! Hopefully they can actually hear that sound.
It's just going to be this,
it's just like... It's like shuffling a fresh pack of Pokemon cards. So, yeah, the stickers are free. If you want one, you got to shoot us an email at popculturepunks@gmail.com. And you can get up to 3 stickers for free. You can do one of 3 things to get 1, 2 of them, or 3 of them. And I'm forgetting what they are.
Here we go.
I've got them.
Okay.
1, you have to submit an idea for a podcast episode. Nothing is off limits, but there's no guarantee that we will do it. So if you're gonna have ask us talk about flat Earth,
we should do a whole podcast about the cat poopers.
Dude,
Let's do it. Well, it's like a documentary.
That would be funny. That would
Pop
be,
culture.
Let's do it. Let's absolutely do that. Number 2, submit your favorite moment from our podcast so far, which means you're either listening to it and you have something, or you're not listening to it and you don't have anything.
Or you could
Shame
just
on
listen
you.
to this episode
Yeah,
and be like, I like when they
like-
talked about the free stickers.
My favorite part was the part about free stickers. That's great.
And
Or
then
my favorite
3,
part was when the show ended.
I mean, that's acceptable. I would give him a sticker for that.
and then the last one is submit a silly or smart question you have for one of the hosts or all of us.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite ice cream?
Yeah, low key, I was actually reading through these notes and I was like, oh, did people actually send in questions? I love answering questions. And then I was reading it and I was like, oh,
No.
it's
Oh yeah,
it's
we're
for a
getting
future.
tons of questions. We're just not going to answer them right now.
Not any of them.
Yeah. We've gotten thousands.
Is that should we? I feel like we should do a tip, like the tip jar they say at piano bars, where the piano player will put some of their own money in the tip jar.
Yeah, you have
And
to get
then
people started.
and then it gets people started.
So next
maybe
week,
we need to
we'll
have
do
a
some. We'll do
fake
some legit
wink,
questions.
wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have tons of questions next week.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Wink.
Just submit it through a fake email. Here's a question from
Anonymous.
catpoopliquor@gmail.com.
What's the one of my favorite SpongeBob things is when they were he was like, it's time for fan mail, and it's like, dear so and so, it's like, sincerely yours, name and address withheld.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
We should do that.
That's
Play
funny.
that same clip.
So yeah, you can do one of those 3 things to get some stickers. They look dope. I for sure will be having.
I
one
for
of-
sure be will be.
Too many.
Too many have beef.
Oh, they're
will.
sold out.
Whoa!
It's a great deal, but don't get too excited.
Give me a sip of that hot cocoa. Yeah, you can get free stickers.
Yep.
One more time.
Yep.
Yep. Can I get a yep? Yep.
Yep.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
So this week we will be discussing the heated topic, or maybe not heated at all, but maybe heated. Movies in 2017.
It's gonna get heated.
It's gonna get heated.
It's gonna
Is
get
it?
heated.
Well,
We're looking over the mic. We're
Yeah,
like,
Chris and I
so-
were
it's
saying,
No,
it's
me
gonna get
and Phil looked at it's gonna get heated, and then Chris
And then I looked at him,
Josh
and I was
looked at each
like,
other it's
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get
it's
heated.
gonna get- it's gonna get.
Me and Zach are like, all right, buckle up, boys.
Here we go.
So yeah, buckle up your pants and
put on
strap
your
in your
flame
underwear.
retarder
Whatever you're wearing.
And whatever you're wearing.
Put on your non-flammable undergarments this time.
Because you're about to get
under your
tilted.
bum.
You're gonna get tilted. Just gonna warn you.
This is like a little sneak peek to our actual Tilt Brigade episode.
Oh gosh,
That
we're gonna do one of those soon.
someday. We'll do one.
Yeah.
'Cause
Which
I don't think Chris is finished.
You
yet.
can maybe do it while I'm.
no.
Yeah.
I just every day I think of more tilting things to say, and it's just things
got, like,
I
a running
actually
list. He's
believe. It's just
Yeah.
All right, episode 8 of the Tilt Brigade.
You're like the Milo Yiannopoulos of pop culture.
I've low key.
you just exist to tilt. Like you're like
I've actually-
my mere
Very
existence.
existence.
Is
I've actually low key thought about doing like a spin-off thing or something
Dude,
like that. Just
absolutely.
like not even like necessarily a Tilt Brigade, but just like a
complaining episode.
Just call it grain of salt, and it's just like whatever Chris is thinking at the time, and just like maybe I'll give advice about this, maybe
What's
I'll
with
just
those-
tell you about that. It's just like
What's with those butterfly tattoos
Yes.
girls always get? It just doesn't make
yes,
sense.
absolutely. Yeah,
that
no.
actually sounds really funny.
Yeah.
That'd be,
I'm in support.
I would listen to that too.
So this
we
will be a mini taste of that.
Yes.
One hopes.
yes,
Yes.
Tilt Brigade.
And
yes.
you guys can probably do it when I'm in Florida for
Yep.
vacation. So
Tilt Brigade.
He's like, I don't want
Tilt-
to.
you don't
I don't want to
wanna
be
be
anywhere
Tilt
near
Brigade.
that.
Humble brag.
I'm like, yep.
I'm gonna be gone in Florida.
Yeah.
I'm a little too
Florida.
positive and too optimistic to be part of
Stay
the Tilt
positive.
Brigade.
Get out.
Posy vibes,
Stay
baby.
posy vibes only.
Posy
Stay
vibes.
posy. So yeah, movies in 2017. I don't know if there was a definite direction we wanted to go, but
I think we
figured
should start with movies we haven't seen in 2017 that we should.
let's
that we should
do
have.
movies
Just
that
to get
we,
it out of the way.
movies,
Just to get it out of the way. Yeah.
movies we haven't seen, which
Yep.
is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe movies that we did see and then movies that we didn't see or
Yes.
that we wish we would have saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can't just list all of the movies. You
Yeah,
didn't
just
see.
like we'll be here.
Movies
like
you wanted to see,
episode
yeah.
4 of this one episode is like we're still listing.
Just going through the Wikipedia one. Did see, didn't
Yes.
see, did see.
They're like 5 hours in.
Each
Like,
person has to do it.
Oh gosh. Sunrise Moon Kingdom. Didn't see that one. Return.
What'd you call it? Moonrise
Moon,
Kingdom.
Sunrise Moon Kingdom.
It's Moonrise Kingdom. That
Moonrise
that came out like
Sunrise
5 years ago.
Kingdom.
Probably
That's the
more.
joke.
I don't know.
Well, I didn't like it.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Well, I didn't even like it, so that's fine.
All right.
All right, Josh, you start.
I'll start. Movies in 2017 that I wish I had seen, but that I did not see. In this, it's not in this order. But Get Out, from Jordan Peele.
Yep.
John Wick 2. I have it. I haven't watched it yet. A Cure for Wellness. Split. That was the M. Night Shyamalan.
That came out
one.
last year.
Yes.
That looks
The
freaky.
Hitman's Bodyguard. Logan Lucky and The Shape of Water.
Okay, I noticed there's this very specific thing that you took off this list.
Because I watched it yesterday.
Good, because
That-
that movie is
It's
amazing.
amazing.
We won't. We won't
Wait,
say.
oh my gosh.
We won't say.
Wait,
what
I
it
didn't
is
see
yet.
the movie,
We
so
won't
don't
say what
spoil
it is yet.
anything.
We
Yeah,
won't say
we
what
won't
it is
spoil
yet.
anything. Hold on.
But yeah, it's.
We also,
won't.
yeah.
I know what
All
you're
right.
talking about, though.
Yes, absolutely.
But the
I'm,
viewers.
I'm really glad that you.
I feel like
saw
your
it.
list is the same as mine.
Or listeners.
Probably.
I actually saw that movie.
Viewers.
I said viewers.
For
They're
free.
watching through their mouths.
They showed it at the marquee.
Oh, dude.
And I was just like,
That's a steal.
oh, it was so good. It was a double feature that I saw. I saw that and The Big Sick, which was
We're talking about Boss
I heard
Baby,
good things
right?
about that too.
surprisingly good. Yeah.
Number one film. Yeah, exactly. We're
Boss
like Alec
Baby, number
Baldwin
one.
in Boss Baby. Oh my goodness.
Just a brilliant performance on his part.
Just the way he portrays.
No, we're talking about the sequel to Boss Baby.
All right, let's see.
The way they
Driver.
captured the baby in that film.
Baby Driver.
It's about a baby who's a driver.
Correct. Yeah. Little
Oh, you
did
gave
know.
it away. Baby
I mean,
Driver.
we were going to get to it
We were talking
eventually.
about Baby
I wanted
Driver.
to use that spoil, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Chris.
So those are my
Let's see.
flicks.
Wait, what
Um,
did you say? What you saw?
What he didn't see.
No, we're gonna go through and say what we had.
Oh,
What we wish,
actually,
what
what we
happens-
wish we had seen, not
Yes.
what we didn't see.
and I'm
there's a
gonna,
lot.
if you want, give very quick blurbs. I'm gonna say we should all give quick blurbs of why we wish we had seen those movies, because otherwise
Ooh, okay.
I think
maybe
it's a
like the top
disjointed-
two. Maybe the top two movies you wish you had seen.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna.
I'll do
just-
2 because that's all I have from this very short
That's
list that
okay.
I'm looking
That's
at. It's
okay.
like-
I really wanted to see Get Out because Jordan Peele. I think it was very interesting that he made like a horror thriller film, and I heard it was amazing.
Coming from a comedy background.
So coming from a comedy background and making that, it sounded fantastic. John Wick 2, because I loved the first one. The first one is the most. It's like a solo Punisher that's not in a real world setting or not in a superhero setting.
Okay.
So it's like that revenge story, but it's like the most dope
I think
gun
they made a
fight
comic,
scenes.
actually.
Yeah, I think they
In-
did.
in
So I
retrospect,
really want to
yeah.
see John Wick 2, and I heard it was an evolution of the first one, which just made me want to see it more. A Cure for Wellness, just because it looked interesting. I like the visuals and stuff like that. I
It
heard
got
kind
very
of mixed reviews,
Yeah.
and it's really long, so I was like, but I still will probably sit down. Split, because The Village is one of my favorite movies of all time, and M. Night Shyamalan is hit or miss with a lot of his stuff.
A lot.
And I heard Split.
I have a very, very tilted opinion of.
He has
That's
very- yeah.
no, I
He ruined
think
The Last
my-
Airbender. Like,
I think
that's-
my opinion of M. Night
unacceptable,
Shyamalan
yeah.
is more tilting than everyone else's opinion.
like he ruined Last Airbender. I
Yeah.
refuse to watch any of his
Yeah.
other movies.
Yeah.
I've
Like,
seen
that's
all of it.
actually-
I've seen people review all of his other stuff, and it's like, besides Split, in recent years, he has made nothing good.
Right.
Basically.
The Village was good, though.
The Village was good, and
was a while
Sixth
ago.
Sense
Oh,
was
and The
also
Sixth
one of his.
Sense, yeah.
That movie
The
freaked
Hitman's
me out.
Bodyguard, I think, because Ryan Reynolds has kind of come back as being worth watching, and
Detective
I always love
Pikachu.
a good Samuel L. Jackson movie. So,
Okay, now I need to see that. It's gonna
Yeah.
be on my list now.
Yeah.
Things to
Because
watch.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Dude,
with Samuel
yeah.
L. and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
I
that
was
sounds
like,
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Logan Lucky, which is another heist movie, and it looked like fun. I think
Some
I
would
love
describe
heist
it
movies.
as the heist version of Holes.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, see,
I'm literally the only person who's ever made that
Yeah.
comparison.
Okay.
He just saw the cover and was like, it's like a heist version of Holes.
Oh, okay.
Because it said something about trying to like cure the curse, family's curse or something.
Yeah,
And I was
like
so this is Holes, but
being-
with cars.
Yeah, basically. And then the last one being The Shape of Water, and it's because Guillermo del Toro has been in the news recently for his help with Kojima on the new game Death Stranding. And so I didn't watch Pan's Labyrinth, and I haven't seen a lot of Guillermo's work, but I really like his aesthetic and what he does
When
with
he's just like
this
an
very
yeah.
creepy stuff. So I really want to see this new movie, especially because it sounds like it was really good.
Yeah, well,
So.
it won Best Picture of the year, so
Yeah.
It did.
there you go.
All right. So aside from the things that I said, from that list that you told me that I was like, okay, cool. Hitman's Bodyguard. I want to see that now because Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson. But movies that I haven't seen, I'm just gonna put two other ones.
Bless you.
Logan. I haven't seen Logan.
What?
I know. I was gonna. I was looking at this list right here, and I was going to watch it before coming here. But then, like, I just ended up spending time with my girlfriend, and she hasn't
Not an
seen
excuse.
any. She hasn't seen any of the X-Men movies, which is
Yeah.
like
That's
my
tough.
fault. It's my fault actually because we
Shame
we
on
ju-
you, it's
but
me.
we
You are to
just-
blame for this.
We just finished going through the entire MCU. We are completely
Oh my
caught up.
gosh.
We are completely caught up. We even like gritted our teeth through the Incredible Hulk. Yes.
Yeah, I like that movie.
That movie was trash. And I'm sorry.
Bang.
That movie was
Shots fired.
There's so many bad things about that
Yeah.
movie. But
It's,
Edward Norton's phenomenal.
but like I actually don't mind Edward Norton. Like if they had kept him, it would have been fine. But no, like the movie itself was terrible. But
Yeah.
we just finished all of that. So like also props to her for actually like
sticking through.
sticking
That's a
through
lot
it
of
and
movies.
actually-
She
That's
could have
a lot
easily
of
been like,
flicks.
Chris, I'm done.
we watched them.
We're through.
Aside from Ant-Man, we watched them all in release order.
Dang.
So yeah, it was quite a bit, but you know we made it, and it didn't take us that long. I think it took us about 3 months, just like off and on. But so that's why we haven't gotten to X-Men yet because well,
Not
Yeah, it's
X-
not really
and
worth it.
and it's not as good. Yeah,
Yeah.
X-Men just like if you haven't already gotten into it, it's not worth.
Hey, I
getting
like
into.
the original three.
Like,
Maybe the first one the
Yeah,
most.
well, it wasn't too bad, but but I haven't seen Logan but like the reason I wanted to see that is I've heard nothing but good things about it, and
Yeah. Everyone says it's
I've heard that
amazing.
it's one of the best Marvel movies ever made, and I
Yeah.
just like that says a lot because there are a lot of good Marvel movies out there, and there are only a few bad ones once Marvel actually had a hand in it. The worst one being the Incredible Hulk, hands down. Yeah, people will say Daredevil, but Marvel just didn't do anything in that movie. Actually, it was just licensed product.
Incredible
so
Hulk. They
that's
actually
why.
like tried to make
yeah,
a movie.
yeah, in Incredible Hulk, they tried to make a movie and it was
Was
bad.
that the second MCU movie?
It was.
Second?
It was because
Oh.
Robert Downey Jr. was in it at the end.
At the
He's
end,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, I'm like looking to put
I remember
a team
that when that was
together."
the first like
Yeah,
hint
that-
of something was happening. And you're
Yeah,
like,
that was-
Wait, what's going on?
It was
here?
meant to be a teaser.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a teaser,
Yep.
like that, and Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury.
Ooh.
But they were like, once they people were like, oh yes, like let's do that. That's when they're like, okay, like this is something that we should do. And now look at it. Like
now it's a monster.
now
that
it's
can't be
actually
stopped.
making like
Yeah.
super political like movies with like really cool things to say and like really intelligent things to say as well as like just constantly sticking it to DC. Sorry, but
It's
yeah.
true.
Well, sorry, Phil. They're just not that good.
but the other movie on here is Jumanji because
Oh, the new Jumanji.
I thought that it was going to be terrible. I love Kevin Hart. I love The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. But like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We'll just
Dwayne
say-
The Rock,
yeah, but,
Mr.
like-
Dr.
I believe you mean
Johnson.
Dwayne the Rock, like Alphonse Johnson.
Yeah,
Whatever his full
absolutely.
name is.
But I just like when I saw the movie, I was like, I didn't even like the original Jumanji movie. Like that may be terrible to say. I just didn't really like it. But like, and I was just like, this can't be good. Like, it just looks like one of those movies that's trying to be stupid funny and is just stupid. And I have just constantly heard from so many people that it's amazing. And it's been one of like the best performing movies from 2017. And I'm just like, what? So now I really want to see it because like I said, I love Kevin Hart. And I love The Rock. So like, that's just like two.
Plus, you get Jack Black thrown in as well.
Oh yeah. And Jack
Yeah.
Black. Yeah. I mean,
and whoever the other girl is.
The woman is.
It's
that's sexist.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm just calling it how it is.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm
like,
just saying.
I'm just like we
No,
don't.
she was actually in a couple things.
Yeah, but so those are like the two movies that are stand out from like this list of things that people have seen that I wish I had seen.
dude, Jumanji was fantastic.
I-
I was
I had the same
I think it's on.
skepticism
You can
you
rent
have,
it
but
now.
then I heard from you it was
Yeah,
good, and I was
I
like,
did
well,
too.
it must be good then.
Yeah.
It's like coming from if Josh said,
If Josh says it's good, I will
right.
believe it's good.
No,
Well, I
I-
mean, I was gonna make a joke earlier that Chris and I, being ComArts grads, were like, well, so therefore our opinions are actually correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll
so
sit
we-
here and tell you exactly why this movie put together is trash. It's
And
just
we have our
trash.
credentials. So
Do you know how many
don't
people
even
I tell at
question it.
school,
What?
like people at school, that I'm like, oh, you know, Josh really liked this movie. They're like, oh, Josh liked it.
I love it.
That gives it like, okay.
It's like the stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what made it good, just as to encourage people to go see it, is it was I think I'm specifically calling this one out because I haven't watched a good comedy in years. Like, there hasn't been a good comedy that's come out in the past few years that I was like, that was really funny.
What
and
about,
I genuinely laughed.
What's the one movie
With-
that was in New Zealand?
Hunt for the
People.
Wilder People. That was a great movie
amazing
too.
movie.
But
that was
like
nice
that
to
was
see.
a very isolated, and that was like an art film too, technically. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't a mass release. But I think Jumanji was an example of a action adventure movie that they turned into a comedy, not a like comedy that they tried to shoehorn into like other stuff. So they
It's like
used
Thor Ragnarok.
basically, it's like it's a superhero movie, but they made everything funny. So it's kind of like the equivalent. So it's really
That
good.
sounds good.
And I think Hollywood, I hope, starts getting that like
Just put Kevin Hart and The Rock in it.
Yeah,
In every single
that's
movie.
the secret formula.
Yeah, actually.
It's
But
like
I mean,
a Kevin Hart, The Rock cinematic universe.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
That would be
Oh,
okay.
my goodness.
As long
Well,
as Jack Black gets in,
my
injected
mind.
once
My
in a while,
mind
I'll
actually
take
just
it.
got blown, and I want this now.
I
Like,
want
Oh
it.
my goodness.
We will. That's it. We're all. Forget it. We're
Our
packing our bags. We're moving to Hollywood, and this is what we're going to do.
Our
We
soul.
will-
this
We're
idea.
changing the podcast to the Kevin Hart, Dwayne Johnson cinematic universe,
Cinematic
podcast. And we're gonna lobby
So
for
it's
it.
the-
and, and people are going to learn today.
Yeah.
how
the
amazing.
TRKHCU
Forever, bro.
forever.
Get T-shirts. Those will be given away after the stickers.
Yeah, once the stickers are gone.
Once you get.
Ooh, yeah, and it'll
Yes.
be like Kevin Hart and The Rock high fiving, and then it just says like the TRKHCU.
That's
Oh,
the name.
goodness.
That's the sound they make every time they high five.
TRKHCU.
Oh lord.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Same thing with Deadpool, but
Yeah.
Okay, my turn. Crap. There we go. I had a lot of ones that I wanted to watch. So Logan for me too. Everyone was mad at me for not watching it, and I really wanted to see it, and everyone was praising it. And I'm a low key Wolverine fan. As much as the X-Men movies, in my opinion, were
I work with someone with a Wolverine tattoo.
really
Yeah, like a very obvious one on his arm.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a very I was telling Josh, I just love dudes that are just angry for the heck of it. Of just
They're just jaded.
just unrationally angry. I enjoy watching that and seeing how they cope with stuff. So seeing Logan would be a really interesting thing with that. Split for me too. I'm just gonna repeat the ones that you guys had said first. Shape of Water for me, just because Guillermo del Toro, just is a renowned director. I'm trying to get more into director specific movies. So I know I have Kill Bill in my queue for Quentin Tarantino and Pulp Fiction. No, are you shaking your head?
I don't like Quentin Tarantino that much.
I feel like he's hit or miss too.
He is very hit or
Yeah.
miss.
So,
He's like the.
but I haven't tried. I haven't watched
yeah.
any of his movies.
You haven't watched.
yet.
You haven't seen Pulp Fiction?
Nope.
Bruh.
So
I am not a
Bruh.
Quentin Tarantino fan, and Pulp Fiction is one of my favorite movies.
yeah,
Just the dialogue in that movie is just top notch.
Yep.
And there are just so many quotable moments, none of which I will say because they're all very inappropriate. But they're
say
just
what again? You can
Yes.
say that. Yeah. So I obviously want to check out Guillermo del Toro, his other work, but Shape of Water got Picture of the Year too. So I was like, oh, all the more reason to check this out. Get Out. Okay, there's a movie called The Foreigner. I forgot what.
Oh, that's a Jackie Chan movie.
The Jackie
right?
Chan movie, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember just watching it and being Jackie Chan has always been this lovable oaf for me.
Yeah.
So seeing him
yeah.
being in a serious movie, I was like, I would watch that.
I actually we're
That-
putting that
I
on my
forgot
list
about
too.
that.
I forgot
I
about
haven't-
that.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen a
I
good
didn't think it would be
Jackie.
good, but I just grew up watching Jackie Chan films, and I was like, this is
One
probably
of the most
fun.
disappointing things I ever watched was watching Around the World in 80 Days.
Oh.
And then
Oh,
after
I remember that.
but at the end of it there was no blooper reel. And that was what made me hate the movie, was that there was no Jackie Chan blooper reel. And that's the only reason you ever watch a Jackie Chan movie is for the blooper reel at the end. And there just wasn't any. And I was like, every time I'm like watching through the movie, you look for those specific moments where you're like, there has to be a blooper of that, right? Like there has to be a blooper of this somewhere. There just wasn't any. And I hated it.
Because they shot it all in perfect in one take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like one take,
Everything was
let's move
perfect.
on. That would be an interesting like movie challenge, like a challenge as a director or something. Like if you have a lot of money to spend, just like, all right, everything in one take.
There's someone that has to have done that at
that,
some point.
That has to be.
There
we
is.
could do it.
There is a movie that so like, you know, Birdman is like filmed in the way that it's one continuous take, but they kind of do like splits to make it look like it's all one shot, but it's actually
hitting cuts.
Yeah, it's hitting
I'm looking
cuts.
at you, Daredevil season 2 fight scene.
I haven't
Hitting
seen it.
cut.
You should learn.
There was some, I was just watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Your Movie Sucks is literally his name, but he does a really good job of analyzing stuff. He had noted there's this one German film that literally, like, Birdman kind of went for it, but had hitting cuts, but this was like a legitimately like a one shot take, entirely like 2.5, 3 hour film. And it was, he said like, obviously like not everything's perfect because you can't, but he said at the same time, like for what it's trying to achieve and how much they, like for what they had and what they did, he was like, it's very impressive. So
Dang.
that's pretty cool. But that's not a 2017 movie. That was from like 2015, I think. It 2017, because I've like recently got into more horror stuff, and I almost went to go see it. It was playing for free at one of my campus theaters, but I was just lazy and didn't feel like going alone. So I was a little scared. I mean, like, it probably isn't that terrible. I've heard it's like mildly scary, depending on how much of a sissy you are. Coco, just because Pixar, why wouldn't you want to see it?
That was a Pixar movie.
Did you see it?
No.
Oh,
I forgot that it was a Pixar
I just watched
movie.
it last night.
But like, I just remember watching it. And what is it? Oh my goodness, I can't say words. Watching the previews for it, and it wasn't one of the Pixar movies I wanted. So like, it just didn't really just jump out to me. Plus, I'm super salty at Pixar for not releasing The Incredibles 2 sooner. So pretty much any movie that I watch is always under the guise of you put this out before Incredibles 2. Like they were going to release Toy Story 4 before Incredibles 2. Like, come on.
I'm actually I'm at a crossroads with Pixar at the moment, because like I still love them. Toy Story is still like my favorite Disney thing, even though it's Pixar. Like, that is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I love Incredibles and all the other ones, but they are churning out so many sequels and, like, threequels and fourth Toy Story that we do not need.
We don't need.
The
ending was perfect.
The ending
like,
for 3 was the most,
it was
satisfying
yes,
thing.
It was perfect.
So,
Cars 3.
No.
Just kidding. I actually watched it, and it was fine.
Compared to 2. 2 is awful. Like, hot garbage.
Disney's getting a little DreamWorksy for me. Where DreamWorks had that syndrome
Or Pixar
with like
is. Well, Disney.
DreamWorks, but I mean DreamWorks. It was with the Shrek movies. It was like Shrek 1, that was good. Shrek 2 was good. Shrek 3 was like okay,
decent, yeah.
and then there was like I want to say one or
number
2
4.
other ones that it was like why are you making this?
Milking
like
the cash cow.
We don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Stop it. I don't need to know where.
As
Dory
long as it
is.
makes $10 million more over the course of its lifetime, that it's worth it.
Then it's okay. My voice today is cracking like a 13-year-old boy.
That's what happens.
Shout out to you, Timmy, for listening to this podcast. Hang in there, buddy. It gets better.
Hang in there, bud.
It's better.
He's like, someone understands me.
Yeah, so I actually had my voice crack on the phone when I was with a customer once, and I was like, all right, we're just going to ignore that little moment of flashback to puberty right there. And she just started laughing. Like, it was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, that was horrible.
That's nice. But at least like you can laugh about it.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, it was
That's
just,
what I try to do, is
yeah,
just make a joke out of it so it's not as embarrassing.
Yeah, like I try to.
Otherwise, I'd cry.
No, yes.
Yes.
It's like we're done. Podcast over.
Yeah, I'm done. Just stop it. Stop it. Okay. Where else? Oh, The Breadwinner. That was a nominated animated movie that looked really beautifully drawn. I think it takes place like in India, I want to say. Some like story of like, I think a poor girl growing up or something like that, but just the animation looked astoundingly beautiful. So I'm a huge animation nut, so I really wanted to check that out. And then actually won.
Graduated yet?
What?
Are you still going to school?
Yeah, I'm still going to school.
There's a history of animation class.
That's what I've
that
been
you should
telling
take.
him. Dude, that's what
Yeah,
got
I
me to
do.
start animating.
Professor Leah Jacobs. Low key, didn't really like her as a professor. It was kind of boring, but the class itself was like really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
It's amazing.
If I have the
It's
time.
really
I'm-
worth it.
Yeah. All right, last one, because I know you guys probably don't have this one, is called Brigsby Bear, which is one I remember seeing the trailers for and being like, that looks really interesting, but like because it was like a more indie film, they were playing it at limited places and it wasn't playing at Madison, I don't think, so just wait for a DVD release. But the premise seemed really interesting and Mark Hamill's in it, so like I'm gonna give it a shot because I love Mark Hamill. And apparently did a really good job in that too. The plot for Brigsby Bear is like this kid is obsessed with this old school TV show called like the Brigsby Bear. It's almost like a la Barney kind of show, and it like cancels and there's like never a satisfying ending. So like he grows up and is like in his 20s or 30s or whatever and is like so dead set on like finding out what the planned original ending was that he like goes out on this like quest to figure out the ending to this childhood show. So
Dang.
I thought
Actually,
that
that does sound
yeah,
interesting.
it was a really interesting
does
premise. So
I'd watch that.
yeah, those are my movies that
Toss a
I
couple
wish
bucks
I'd
at
seen. I'll do some Google searches. Check some
pirate it.
images.
Bloody pirates.
Bloody pirates. It's in the bay.
Speaking of bloody pirates, you should all get Sea of Thieves, and
We're talking about
play
movies,
with
Chris.
me.
2017
the only one who has
movies.
Xbox
Hey,
One.
video games was actually on the list.
It
somewhere.
was. It was
Was it
our
really?
intro.
Yeah.
That was big, but that was
Yeah, that was
before
our
we-
intro.
Well, we
which
scrapped
skipped.
it.
That was before we
So-
started
Yeah, we
talking
scrapped
about.
Don't care. I'm
Poop
self-plugging. I need more people to join my crew. So
I thought about grabbing it.
My Straw Hat crew.
My list is
Yes.
basically the same as yours, so I'm not going to go through all of them.
Yours
But
being
the-
me.
my what?
just
yeah,
no.
they can't see you.
Yeah,
They
you're
can't see you point. This is an audio only
Oh.
medium, so hand
I
gestures.
definitely said viewers when you guys were talking. I was like, well, the viewers aren't gonna.
I like to think that we're being watched through our phone cameras.
Well, that's
That's-
probably. I mean, then they're seeing the underneath of my thigh, right? now, so-
Hi Google.
Tasty. So movies I wish I had seen specifically was Get Out. At first I didn't want to see it just because I hate horror movies, but now the premise behind it is like too attractive to not want to watch
too
it.
attractive.
I haven't seen either John Wick, but I do want to see those eventually. Baby Driver looked really good,
It's amazing.
and
we'll get there.
We'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get there.
like Logan Lucky looked good. The Hitman's Bodyguard looked good. I don't know about The Shape of Water. I kind of want to see it, but it also sounds too like much of a romance for me.
With a name like that, it has to be.
No, it
Like-
is.
I mean, I already
But it's
know like,
a-
what happens, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like gross in some ways, but
I think that's
Yeah.
the interesting part. I mean, if it's still like an interesting movie, because everyone could have just been like, "That's gross." And then,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
Her got nominated, and that was about a dude falling in love with AI. So,
what did?
if you're about,
Yeah, that-
there's a movie called Her that did really, really well.
Oh,
and
really?
Starring Joaquin Phoenix, and it's about a dude who like falls in love with an AI program because he's like, for part of his company, he's like, I think he like volunteers to like test it out or something like that. But it just like has such high intelligence, and like he's a lonely dude. So, I remember because we were actually in, Josh and I were on a family vacation, and we were on Santa Monica Pier, and all of a sudden all these trucks were coming in with like all this camera
I
stuff.
remember that, yeah.
And my mom was asking like, oh, is there any like big stars here or something like that? Someone was like, oh, just like Joaquin Phoenix. But it's funny how that turned out to actually be like a really, so maybe we're in the
So
background
they were
somewhere.
filming that movie.
They're filming that
Well,
movie
that's
there.
very
Was
cool.
that a 2017 movie?
No,
I've never
it
heard
was
of
a
that.
couple
No, that
years
was
ago.
that was
Oh, okay.
many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never
and it
heard
probably
of
was even earlier because we
Mhm.
were during the obviously filming, and
I
after
think
it
I was
takes a lot more
in-
time. So
Senior in high school, I want to say.
Oh, dang.
yeah,
yeah.
I've never heard of that.
So
That's cool.
yeah,
No, we'll
cool.
Nice.
Probably
So yeah,
look it up.
that's basically my list.
that's really.
Yeah.
There were a lot of
A Cure for
forgettable
Wellness I wanted to
films.
see, but
Mhm.
There-
I saw the reviews and I was like,
I heard,
don't
yeah.
know. It doesn't. Based on the reviews I saw, my interest basically dropped because
Yeah.
what they were saying was exactly what I was expecting it to be, and then it ends up not being what you expect it to be, and it's kind of just like, so.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to say that it's like this year specifically had a lot of forgettable ones because that's probably every single year.
Yeah, I mean, every
Yeah.
year.
Cinematically, there's always going to be forgettable movies. I know. I will say though,
The Snowman.
looking at the horror
Happy
movies,
Death Day.
they have been
watch that
the
Lonely Island song.
Oh,
Oh, my
gosh.
god.
they have been the funniest, like saddest premises for movies. Like Happy Death Day, I was very much like if you find. I mean, I'd kind of want to show you, Phil, just to see if you would get scared of it because
I would absolutely get scared.
I've
already seen commercials for it.
Oh, it's so tropey and so just like, who's the killer? Happy Death Day.
That's basically what it is. Yeah.
So
now onto the fun part.
Well, before
films
that,
we did see.
Yeah, I was gonna say films you did see, or I mean, we probably all saw a lot of movies.
Yep.
So like maybe your most notable ones. What your best film of the year was?
How about films that if you missed it, you absolutely need to see it?
Yeah.
So
films you saw this year that you think
that kind of is
need
the same.
to see.
That's kind of the same thing.
No, but I mean,
like,
there's films on my list that I'm like, yeah, like it's worth watching. But like, there are movies on my list that I'm like, no, you absolutely like need to watch this.
Oh my goodness,
What?
I have one that you absolutely need to see, but it's for a very tilty reason, and it's gonna be really fun.
Okay.
All right.
I cannot wait.
That's what we're here for. We're here.
Do you know
for
what?
fun.
Do you know what movie I
The
forgot to
preview,
mention?
the preview.
I forgot to mention a movie. Because I was planning to watch The Room before I watched it, The Disaster Artist.
Oh, I haven't seen The Disaster
I wanted
Artist.
to see it
I want to
really
see that
bad.
so badly.
Everyone
Okay,
said it was
yeah.
amazing.
I need to see that. All right,
So-
I might actually have to go home and watch that.
I did not hit her. I did not.
I did not
Oh,
hit
hi,
her. It's
Mark.
not
Oh,
true.
hi, Mark.
That movie's so bad.
I want to watch The Room really bad. I keep telling Josh is just the other day we were talking about like so bad they're good movies,
Yeah.
and I was like, Josh, we need to watch The Room. It's like the best worst movie, and he was like, I just don't have an interest in it. I'm like, but it's
Wait, have you not seen it?
No.
Tommy
What?
Wiseau.
Okay, no, so you have to grit your teeth through it and watch it. Like I kid you not, like you have to, because there's just like it's referenced in so many random things. Like there was an episode of this, I don't know how like tilted this might be with like our listenership, but like
Why'd you point at me?
because you said viewership once.
Oh,
Like
okay,
I'm
okay.
better than you.
I thought you were like pointing at
But
me like
knowledge.
there's an episode of House of Cards that actually references The Room in like one
Interesting.
little thing. Like a guy gets into a car and he's like, "Oh, hi, Mark." Like just that it was strategically placed as like if you haven't watched The Room, it's just gonna go over your head. But like if you watch it, you're just like, yeah, like that was. I see what you
hi,
did
Mark.
there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's disgustingly long and it feels even longer than it is.
But it's such
and
a funny,
they
joyous
reuse
ride.
the same scene like 2 or 3 times. It's very lazily put together, but you have to watch it. Like it's
It's like a
And
rite of
then
it's like a rite of
You watched
passage.
Batman vs Superman, didn't you?
Oh, and I
You can
wanted
get
to
through this.
But
But
everyone-
everyone put a hole in the wall.
That is true. See, the thing with Batman versus Superman is it was like, think of it this
It
way.
was trying to be
It
good.
was trying to be good. It was a super high budget movie that just was awful and unenjoyable. And it was
Yeah.
funny because it was so bad. And I mean, like, it'll be the same for this too. But imagine like the whole movie being so bad it's funny.
It's and the thing is, it's like you keep watching it and you're just like, is it going to get better? Like you keep thinking like it's got to get better, right? This whole movie can't
It
be
doesn't.
like this,
It totally
and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. It just continuously
I feel
blows
like you're
your
not
mind.
selling
that, like,
it. You're
you're
definitely
not.
not.
I
no,
don't-
no, we're selling it to the point where like this is literally a rite of passage. Plus, once you watch it, you get to go to room watching parties where people throw spoons at like and actually like have a lot of like interaction. I
Wait,
went
what do
to
they throw
part of
spoons at?
It's like I did hear about
it's
this.
a tradition. So there's
Yeah.
actually in the background, like there's actually a framed picture of a spoon. And so every time it shows up on screen, people throw spoons at the screen. And there's just a lot of little things like that about the movie that are just like I don't know. Like,
But if I never experience the movie,
if you never experience the movie,
I will go through my entire life.
not being able to throw spoons.
Okay.
yeah.
I can
When
still.
is the only other time you're able to like
Throw spoons.
throw
Yeah,
spoons
like,
at a screen?
Yeah, they expect you. They like when we went to go see it at the marquee. They literally handed out just tons of spoons to people as you were walking in the door. They're like, "Here, have your spoons, have your spoons, have your spoons." And I didn't even know. I didn't even know. I was like, "What is like what's going on?" And then all of a sudden it happened, and people were like, "Spoons!" And they just like
my
do it. I'm
gosh.
just like getting hit in the back of the head with a plastic spoon, and I'm like, "This is an enjoyable experience."
This is the best
actually.
movie I've ever seen.
That's hilarious.
Ow! Hey, this is fun.
We actually found a spoon that was basically a shank, so we just put that one off to the side, and we're like, we're not going to throw this one. This one's actually going to hurt someone.
Interesting.
But anyway,
I did almost buy yesterday that Swedish or Finnish
Rendell, I think it's
Rendell,
called.
it's
Rendell the Dark Avenger or something like that.
It's like the first on the back, literally the first disclaimer for the film is
This
the
is-
first Swedish superhero.
Or
I was
Finnish.
like,
It was Finnish.
I think it was Finnish, yeah, because you made the Sisu reference, yeah. So it was like the first Finnish superhero, and immediately I thought I need to watch this. And
He almost bought it.
I
but
almost
you
bought it.
didn't.
The
almost spent
dude looks like
$25.
Spawn on the front, like
Yeah.
he looks like a cross between one of the guys from the
Looks like a
band
cross of
Mushroom Head and Spawn.
No, he looks like cross like Spawn and Black Panther.
Kinda,
he had
yeah.
like the
Because his
leather.
suit was just straight black.
yeah, but he
Yeah,
had
it
like
was,
the ball. Just
It
like
looked
the-
interesting.
So
The
if
description
anyone-
for it was like super brutal.
So if
too.
any listeners out there are looking for something stupid to do, watch Rendell and send us a review. I would literally think that's the funniest thing in the world. That
We will
would be-
send you the entire stack of stickers.
Absolutely.
No one else gets a sticker if you do that.
If you go-
get
if you
all
go
of
and
If
them.
you
watch
spend the
Rendell.
$15 to go buy Rendell and review it and send in a review.
But you have to buy it. You cannot pirate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
We
watch
need
it
to
online.
see
You
it.
have
We
to
need proof
actually
of
own it.
You need to
Yes.
show us your commitment.
Show the receipt.
Yep.
You totally can return it the next day. But
That's totally fine.
all right.
Anyway.
That's
All right,
So
here we
movies
go.
that we have seen that if people haven't seen,
dun,
them,
dun.
watch.
starting with
Let me take a look at this list.
So
'cause
maybe
I don't wanna
like
say
top
too
movie
many.
out of the list you share, like top movie and then movie you'd recommend to everyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna give like mini shout outs.
He's all
And
prepared.
Shout out to Thor Ragnarok, love you, boo.
I'd like to thank
Yes, that's how it feels.
Yeah. It's like, Thor, I'd just like to thank you for just really, really bringing back your franchise. You did a great job.
Yeah,
For
I'm sorry that Jane broke up with you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that
do you know
Jane
what?
dumped
You didn't really need her. She was kind of a boring character. So
Yeah, just like she was better as Padme.
First shout out is Lego Batman movie. It's a good
Aw,
flick.
it
It's
was
a
best Batman movie made.
yeah. It's really good.
What?
It's
Actually,
pretty
a
good
good
Dark Knight.
comedy.
it's even better than the Dark Knight movies.
I disagree.
It does it. Yeah.
It's like if you included like if the Dark Knight movies are obviously like better if you're looking for something super in depth
Dark and gritty.
like all of that,
Yeah.
but it's definitely right underneath those because it was fantastic.
it's
you're-
very
yeah.
funny. It's very pop culture referencey.
And if you're a Batman fan,
if you're a
you're
Batman,
Batman,
'cause
you'll
there's
laugh
so many.
the whole
Yeah.
way. And
There's so
think
many
it's awesome.
references to even like the Dark Knight trilogy itself that it is incredible.
And the
Yeah.
old Batman, like the old school, like 60s.
Oh,
or
that was
whatever.
okay. That was my favorite. I remember there was one of the references. This was like really early on too. If he was saying like the one time you fought the Egyptian master in 1962 or something, and it was literally just like the actual clip of the old school show, and it's like, who was the actor?
Adam West.
Adam West, just like spinning in a circle, like being confused, like being it was like psychically manipulated by the pharaoh or whatever from the old TV show.
Yeah, so
it
it's
was amazing.
It's so tongue in cheek and so self referential that if you're a Batman fan or like even a DC fan, there's some good
Yeah.
DC.
Or if you like the
references.
Lego movie.
Yeah, or if you like the
Or
Lego
if you-
movie.
I have none of those because I haven't seen the Lego movie and I thought it was amazing. So
So it's a
if
good
you like
flick.
good movies.
Yeah, Lego Batman is good.
If you want to do something fun with your life, go watch the Lego.
I'm also gonna say, I'm gonna say Despicable Me 3. No, I'm absolutely kidding. That was
Oh.
very, very missable. It was kind of funny because like you find out that Gru has a brother named Drew who's blonde and the exact same, and it's kind of
you are my brother.
my brother. But he literally sounds like that. It's like Gro's like this and very listen and like Drew's like this and he's like it's so good to
I
see.
wear white. I'm blonde. I'm happy. And
He's
I'm
like,
blue.
"You're
I'm
my
black. I
brother."
wear black.
He's
and
like, oh my brother, I love my
I
brother.
I always was like, I'm Gru. I'm black. And
I was like,
it's like, wait a minute. Hold on. Reel that back. He wears black.
But that was so it was fun. I will say it was pretty funny because I can't remember if it's Trey Stone or Matt Parker. I want to say it was Trey Stone was the voice of the villain. He's one of the South Park.
I think it's Trey
writers.
Stone. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
So he was really, and he sounds just like a less obnoxious version of Cartman.
Oh,
The entire movie. So
let's
and
go.
literally, I think they named the robot Clive, and so he's like, "Come on, Clive!" And so it's fantastic. And then I'm gonna give a shout out to this movie because I know there's gonna be a lot of people who won't like it, but I still think it was a fantastic sci-fi movie. Is Blade Runner 2049. That was an awesome flick, but people just did not get what they were expecting because I think they were anticipating a gun-toting.
Yeah, people
extra-
thought it was gonna be an action movie,
super
but it was
covered.
not an action.
Which is
movie.
funny because I watched the original Blade Runner this past weekend, so that like with the intention of watching 2049, which I still haven't watched yet. That should have been on my list. I was not like maybe that's a tilting opinion. I finally have a tilting opinion. I was not impressed by Blade Runner. Like I know people heralded as one of like the most iconic, best 80s films, but I was really bored by it, which I was surprised by. There's a lot like cinema. Sorry, I'm taking your point, but like cinematically, the cinematography, the soundtrack, incredible. Like for its time, I can get behind it. And even like the special effects too. I was like, dang, that looks really good for its time. But the story is so boring. I was expecting like, okay, we're following this cop, like dealing with like a cop hunting down these robots and questioning what's human and what's not. Like that's a really interesting premise, but there's so many just like scenes where no one says anything, and I'm like, this isn't warranted. It's not like a silence that's warranted from like an emotional experience or reaction. It's just like he sees the person and the other person, they're just sitting in the room, and he's kind of staring at a picture, and she's kind of looking off in the distance like, guys, you're in a movie.
Yeah.
Guys, say something.
Line?
Like, because
Line?
silence...
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Line, please. But, like, because silence can be earned in a lot of movies. Like, there's a lot of powerful moments when there's just silence.
There is a movie that was released in 2017 that used silence so effectively, more effectively than I have ever seen it before, and it was amazing. And it was in a movie that was so disappointing.
Oh.
But it'll be coming up.
I refuse to give that movie a shout out for many reasons. But
that's just the point I want to make of that. Like, the original Blade, I can see myself probably really liking 2049 if, like you were saying, Josh, it's really an improvement from the original, because like there was just stuff in the original that I was like, that was really good, but also I don't have the nostalgia tinted glasses, so I'm not gonna just like be, well, this is the 80s and this was revolutionary for its time. So
I think
not in that boat.
Yeah, I think what made 2049 cool is they didn't pull the, all right, we need to explain how every single intricacy of this future world operates, and we're going to take every single second. There's a ton. Stuff just kind of happens, and it's very interesting.
They basically leave it up to you to figure it out.
Kind of scramble.
Yeah.
I also think the mystery in the movie is way more fascinating and way more engaging than the original Blade Runner.
Yeah.
The original
there
Blade
was no
Runner
mystery in the original, and it was
It was like, well, who are these androids? How do I find them? I gotta hunt them down. So it's like, well, what is he doing? What does this main baddie want? But it just
I will say he was a really good bad guy.
Yeah,
that was really impressive.
But 2049 is awesome. The story's awesome. The aesthetic is awesome.
I think it won a couple Oscars.
Yeah,
for like
I hope it did. It was it was
set
really
design
cool.
or something.
And what's his face? Who was the main guy? Not Harrison Ford. He was in La La Land and
Forget his name. Ryan Gosling.
He did an amazing
Ryan Gosling's
job.
in it?
He's an interesting character.
Yeah,
He's usually like the pretty boy type.
Exactly.
Like,
that's
Nicholas
always how I
Sparks type
viewed.
guy.
Yeah, I've always
But
viewed
then he
him
does
as that.
this, and I'm like, whoa. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
he was holy shnikes. I've always kind of had a vendetta against him because I watched sadly The Notebook one time.
Yeah, I watched that too.
I regretted it, and so ever since then I've just kind of had a like, I don't like you. I don't really have a good reason. He just was in The Notebook, and I think
it was
it's
a
terrible
traumatizing
movie.
experience.
But seeing him in this, I was like, holy crud! Like they could put him in a lot of really cool movies, and he did an amazing job. So, that's my last shout out. Now, as for the films that you must see, if you're a comedy fan, you must see Jumanji. It was hysterical. Just so many good moments. The humor is derived from how they construct the world, not just let's make a joke at every single possible
and it's also
moment.
not built off just the comedians themselves.
Exactly.
That's my problem with a lot of comedian movies is it's like, as funny as Will Ferrell is, I don't want just a Will Ferrell movie.
Him just like yelling at stuff or saying stupid things.
Oh no, but it's like I can
that's
watch.
why I don't like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I could like
before it was oversaturated. It was funny. Like there were moments. But
you go
then
like I can watch. That was my thing. Is like I can go watch Step Brothers. I can go watch Talladega Nights, and like even though he's playing himself, it's like I'm enjoying this because he's still funny. But like you said, there's an oversaturation of like he's now played that same role in every single movie he's been in. So now it's kind of like. Okay.
Yeah, he's getting the Adam Sandler burnout.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler's only this is my bicycle. Yeah, like
It has a seat that hurts my high knee.
Yeah, so it's things like that. But Jumanji was hysterical. Jack Black, his character is a teenage girl who ends up in a 40-year-old fat guy's body. And so
okay, we're sold.
It's like it's
sold.
That alone is just it's the funniest thing in the world. It's hysterical. That was great. Spider-Man: Homecoming. absolutely need to see that.
Yep.
I loved it.
I will expand on it as to why people should see it.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I
it's
thought
on
you were going to
there.
say I will expand as to why I hate that movie.
No. No.
First, it was a great reboot. They did an amazing job. The story was really interesting. They kept it smaller scale. They didn't have the "Here comes the doomsday device that's going to destroy the world."
The first Spider-Man thing that did not have the Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
That was
oh my
incredible.
goodness. I was
Yeah.
so happy.
That was
Yeah.
like revolutionary.
That was, yes, and like also the often credited to Uncle Ben quote of with great power comes great
Did
responsibility.
they not say that in the movie?
They didn't, and on top of
Wow.
that, that's not even an Uncle Ben quote. The original time that those words showed up in Spider-Man was the narrator in like
Really?
in the little thing. Like it was actually part of the narration thing. Like in
So someone must have
Spider-Man
just, like,
walked out.
comics?
Wow.
Yeah, in the comics, like Spider-Man walks out or whatever, and he realizes that with great power comes great responsibility or something. Later on, it became an Uncle Ben quote, but the first time it showed
Tobey
up,
Maguire movies,
or
I think.
and probably earlier, like in some
yeah,
other thing,
sure.
but,
like cartoon, maybe like the cartoon or something like that.
or even in more comics. But like,
Yeah.
but like in the Amazing Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man things, it's a narrator panel thing. Like it's not
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not from. I remember reading it, and I was like,
Fun fact: the more you know.
yeah, right. Throw some rice.
Let's see. So I will say, Jumanji is the comedy of the year that you absolutely should see. Spider-Man as the superhero movie that you should absolutely see. That one's hard though, because I also had on here movies I saw were Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Logan and Thor Ragnarok, and all four of those I could give that.
you're a
I think for
Spider-Man
me,
fan.
I'm
Lesser,
biased because
yeah.
Spider-Man.
I think
Yeah.
Guardians lesser too. Like Guardians 2 was good. It was really good. It was just
It
like,
did not compare to
it
the
was
first
not
one.
What?
as
I thought it was
good.
Yeah.
better than the first
I actually
one.
did too.
There was
Yeah,
much
the
more
story was a
character.
lot
There was
better.
much more character development
Yes.
in the second
I will
one,
agree with
which is
that.
like that's definitely a big plus.
I can.
Like, yeah.
Well, if I can say it, just because we're on Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy. Because I agree. I remember enjoying it throughout, but for my thing is like I hold Guardians of the Galaxy as one of the top Marvel movies because I was actually making this argument with some guys in my because we were all talking about our favorite superhero movies, and Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy are my two favorites. And they were like, "Why do you like Guardians of the Galaxy?" I was like, "Okay, think of it this way. Did you know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were before the movie
Exactly.
came out?" They were like, "No." I was like, "Okay." They have now become one of the most popular superhero groups, if not like superhero brand of
Yep.
the whole Marvel universe. And the movie itself like develops the characters so well and has such a well-rounded narrative in a single film in its own universe, its own context that
Yeah.
I enjoy watching it every time I watch
Yeah,
it because it stands alone.
I do love that. Like it's interesting if you think about it. Like Marvel as a whole, like the MCU is built off the back of forgotten characters.
Yep.
Like Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually, I think it was just Iron Man, and then like everybody knew who the other ones were. But then like the group films of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, which nobody knew about, and like they. But yeah.
Well, now you have Ant-Man and Wasp coming out. You
Oh, my
had
goodness.
Black Panther.
Ant-Man was surprisingly one of the. It was just a very great film. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like
Dude, I think
I'm a
it
fan of
legit
Black
was
Like
Paul
plot-
Rudd. Paul
Yeah.
Rudd
yeah,
made
plot
it.
holes and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
it was just so
it's like,
funny.
wait, why did that train just crash through the thing? It doesn't make any sense.
It's like, but it's Paul Rudd. It's
it's like it doesn't matter because
Dude,
it's
but like
funny.
when they're on
Yeah.
the train and like the Thomas the Tank Engine is coming and they zoom out and it just like it just falls over. I was like,
That's
that's
brilliant.
I was like, yes,
Yes.
yes, Marvel.
Yeah.
timing. Anyway,
But yeah, there's so many. I was really surprised, and I mean, this could be a whole nother extra conversation, even an extra episode of just the consistency I think that superhero movies have brought.
Yeah,
to
Well,
the
Mar-
table
I
in
think-
film.
yeah,
Definitely Marvel.
That'd be a fun
but
podcast.
basically almost all the Marvel movies that I would say with confidence all the Marvel movies that came out last year I think are worth watching. Especially Spider-Man Homecoming. If you're wanting like a more darker tone, I think cinematic Logan is up there.
if you want a movie, go see.
Yeah. And then in terms of like other flicks, for animated, Coco. Good Lord, go see Coco. Coco's great.
Good movie. Just saw it
It's-
last night finally.
Yeah.
I will
the
have to watch it.
Yeah.
the narrative for it. I think for me with Pixar, it's why I've had a hard time wanting to watch. Haven't seen Frozen, refused to watch it. Haven't seen Moana, haven't seen.
Moana's
I did
good.
some of those.
I
are
did
Disney,
see. Yeah,
but I know
I
some of
actually
the
saw
animation.
Moana too recently.
Um,
I was surprised
Just
by it.
picture,
It's actually really
just
good.
picture Dwayne Johnson singing.
Boom, done.
That's
It's
all
done.
you need to
It's-
watch the
it's-
movie.
it's good.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like he's actually a really
I was
good
skeptical
singer.
because I watched it with Evan, and I was really skeptical, but I was surprised.
Okay.
how good it was.
My thing with
watch
it was the animation was incredible.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of like the Hawaiian island settings. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
love Pokemon Sun and Moon so much. But like the animation for like the waves in the water and it's like going across the island and stuff. I was
There's
I was very
there are a
impressed by
lot
it.
of things that are
It was
just
a
like beautiful about
movie,
that
yeah.
movie.
All
Wait,
right.
was
Dwayne
very
Johnson
good.
singing. That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
like
that's all you
actually the
need.
what can I say?
probably-
except
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, it is good.
Yeah,
It's-
but
I'd probably
I
say
think,
that's my favorite
Frozen-
recent Disney movie.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. It's like
Frozen is
Decent,
for
but-
little
dude,
kids.
and
Moana
you
is
didn't
like-
see Coco on the when they were playing.
I
that
made a
stupid
joke about that
Frozen
when we
short.
started. I was like, I hope this rental doesn't have
Oh, did
like,
it not
the
have-
Frozen short on the beginning. It
Did it
Yeah.
not have it?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Did you hear about that whole debacle?
What?
Coco,
Oh.
when they aired it, they before the movie started. So mind you, so there's
Yeah.
all the trailers that
Yeah.
theaters normally do,
Mhm.
and then before the film, there was a 20-minute Frozen short all about loving and learning about other people's cultures, and then like
What?
getting to the end, and then basically the message being, well, we need to just be excited about other people's cultures, right?
And then you have Mexican culture.
And then like
movie.
right after that,
It's really
it
condescending
was
because you're like, what do you think I'm?
No,
No,
that's
it's
what
like-
do you think I'm watching this movie for?
Everyone-
right. It's like I'm interested
yeah.
in Day of the Dead, like, and I want
Yeah.
to see the narrative of this. You know, what's it was.
There's such a huge uproar of people saying that like
They
that
pulled it.
ruined the movie for a lot of people. Like I think a lot of people recognize that it's not Coco's fault, but they were saying that like it ruined my experience because they had to.
Plus, usually
shoehorn in the
Pixar
short.
does like a little short where they show like new technologies
Right,
they're working
yeah.
on and stuff.
But those are always like 3-5
Those are-
minutes.
3
yeah.
minutes or 5 minutes.
When
like
it's
The
little
Guys
really
guys chest.
creepy. What is it? The toy
The
one.
unicycle
original
one.
No, there's
The
a
baby?
No,
The
no,
original,
yeah,
the
the
baby,
baby
the
one.
original Toy
Oh,
Story.
that baby one.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
gosh.
creepy.
That shout out to that one. If you haven't seen the original Pixar short that inspired Toy Story, what is it, like the Little Tin Man or something?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, the
it's
Tin
called.
Man.
Yeah.
Watch it. It's freaky.
It is
It is.
terrifying.
That baby is.
Yeah, that baby is
Like the toys look fine, but the baby that like chases after him is like I do not blame them for running for their lives from this horrid creature.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But yeah, so it was. So you can imagine all these kids who are going to see it, and then an hour there, they're still watching. And then after the Frozen short, they had a developer story of how they made the
No,
art
did
for the
they
film.
what?
Yeah, it was shorter, but it was like
seriously?
another
for Coco.
5 minutes
Wait, for Coco.
Coco.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
For Coco.
Right,
that
but still-
sounds awful.
Right, but still, at the same
And-
time, it was like just play that before it.
Yeah,
like,
and here
why
and
is
here,
Frozen there?
Yeah, and
Oh,
here I
so
am
mad.
getting upset at Marcus Theaters for having the owner of the thing just like, "Hi, I'm here to tell you about some other thing." Which
What's
I don't
the guy's
mind.
name? Yeah, the Marcus
like
dude.
I don't actually mind
Marcus
that,
or
but I
something.
hate that it
Marcus.
comes after the trailers. I
Yeah.
want it to go before the trailers
Yeah.
because the trailers themselves set you up into a
Movie
watching
watching
Yeah, you're getting
mood.
like hyped.
Yeah.
And then
All
when
right,
you-
I'm ready.
and
for
then
this.
when that tiny little low budget thing just pops up and with a really cheesy joke, it just kills any hype that you have.
You're like,
and then you
yeah.
have to restart it during the 20 minutes of like studio intros.
Yeah.
Family.
You're just like, Greg, get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have a fun time going to the movies and trying to find out when the movie actually starts.
Yeah,
It's just like-
he's like sitting there. He's like, I love watching movies. I'm like, I do too. Please leave.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Coco itself was probably the best narrative that Pixar has written, in my opinion.
No,
It was
I
good.
don't-
It's a strong statement.
Although
but, like,
I definitely called the
the
I definitely
twist.
called the twist. I
But
told
I-
Evan and she's like, no, I don't. That doesn't make sense. And I was like, it's. Gonna
I
happen.
wasn't surprised by the twist. I was like, ooh,
I think I know what it
okay.
is too, but
But like
know what
it's
it
the
is.
twist. But I think it was like it was the most. Gosh, like I don't even know how to put it. Like,
Well, I
it
think it's
was
one of those things
so-
where like they're not necessarily trying to trick you. In a sense, it's more like they give you clues throughout the whole thing, what's really going on, and then you can piece it together if you're trying to. Or
Yeah, I think in a
but
way.
the narrative ends, and you're just like, I want to cry right now.
all
I
right.
did cry. I
was
All
about
right,
to. I was
save it.
I was
wanna
well-
watch it.
I was
wanna watch
well
it.
enough.
Stop it. Okay, no more talk. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
it
it.
So,
was.
yeah,
It was
it's
fantastic.
highly recommended.
It's fantastic. Just the writing is impeccable. So that would be my animated movie, and then I would argue after watching it yesterday. Granted, it's fresh in my brain, so I'm a little biased. But Baby Driver, holy crap!
I will
Edgar
expand
Wright.
more.
So
I will expand
freaking
more on
Yeah,
that too. Oh my
that
goodness.
dude.
Sequel to Boss
is-
Baby.
Do you want to just like hash it
Boss
out now?
Baby.
Because like all three of us probably.
Yeah,
Well,
I
well,
haven't,
we-
I haven't
well,
seen
but
anything,
you've
so if we
dominated
can't
it
talk
all.
Coco, we can't talk Baby Driver.
Well, we won't talk about anything specific about it, but also
It's more- it's
yeah.
more-
Well, we
cinematically-
should each do our
Yeah.
lists and then get into more like specific.
Yeah,
discussions.
I'll kick off because it sounds like you're going to talk about Baby Driver as well.
that's what I'm saying. Is why
But-
if like all three
yeah,
of us
if we
have
wanna
something to
go.
say, why don't we
Sure.
just do it now?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go off the high that is Baby Driver. Watching that movie, it was one of the best experiences with a movie soundtrack I've ever watched in my life. Just how integral it was in the entire making, and one of my favorite things, just from a technical standpoint. You can argue that like it's a crutch for some people, but from an editing standpoint, editing things to the beat of music and like cuts and all of that stuff, that's one of my favorite things to watch, like
Yes.
visually, and like when
It's
my ears
satisfying.
when my ears and my eyes are matching up what they're hearing, it creates a fantastic experience for me. So that's something personally that I really enjoy. And they made an entire film of that with a fantastic soundtrack, a heist theme to it.
Great
Because
characters, great actors.
yes,
Yeah.
it just like you piece it all together and you get something that you could never recreate.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's such a beautifully done film that isn't, they didn't sacrifice quality of actual for the average moviegoer. Someone who's just going to watch I want to see a good movie. I don't want to watch something that's so incredibly technical or ComArts nuts are like, oh my goodness, like freaking out for all various reasons that normal people.
It's not like
aren't
an indie arty film.
Yeah, it's
where
not an
normal
artsy-
People are
yeah.
gonna be like, oh, it's
Yeah,
so good.
A person that just casually watches films could still be like, "Dang, that was a good movie."
Yeah,
and
like
enjoy it.
and there's just so many things behind it that make it fantastic that just go see it. Like if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's one of the best things that your eyes and ears will ever experience together at the same time.
Yeah.
Now going off of other things, most of my shout outs for movies, I'm gonna shout out for one of the things that a shout out for a movie that I was pleasantly surprised with. It was actually when I went to go see Baby Driver at the Marquee. They were doing a double feature, and the movie that we saw before that, I believe, was The Big Sick. And that's the movie with the Pakistani, I think he's from Pakistan.
Yeah, I know the comedian you're talking
Yeah, the
about. I
comedian
can't think of his
who
name,
he it's loosely based off of his actual life story, and he falls in love with a girl who's in a coma, and he's basically getting to know her through his parents, and it's obviously one of those really cheesy, it obviously has a ceiling for how good of a movie it can be just by the genre that it is. I'm sorry for people who love those movies, but
But
it was
that
it's
it's true.
but it's true. It's true. But it's still just I finished watching it not feeling like I was robbed of time. I actually actively enjoyed it. It was just one of those things where I was like, wow, this is okay. I like this.
That's a good defining movie for me. Is that's why I say with Blade Runner why I didn't enjoy. It wasn't it was okay. I didn't really enjoy it because I was looking at my clock, being like, all right, how much longer is? Okay, I still got.
As soon as you
go.
pull out the phone to be like, how long is this? Or you if you're watching it on your computer and you shake it to see how far in the movie it
see
is,
how
you're
long.
just like, oh, you know that you're starting to lose it.
Yes,
When it's
yeah.
just that. But so those two, Spider-Man: Homecoming. As someone who loves Spider-Man, if you're tired of reboots, go see it anyway, because it takes everything about the Peter Parker that people love from the Tobey Maguire films and everything that Spider-Man
Nothing to love.
should have been from the Amazing Spider-Man, and combines them into something that only Marvel can create. And the actor that they chose is perfect.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, it's just I actually really liked Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
I did too.
It wasn't
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
After I watched The Amazing Spider-Man, I thought that the original Spider-Man movies weren't very good. They were still great, but they weren't no, that doesn't make any
Wait,
sense.
that's
They're just
odd, yeah.
but they just weren't very good by comparison, because as a Spider-Man fan, I know who Spider-Man is supposed to be as a character, and they just didn't
Yep.
they just didn't add up in the original three. or 2 if you're people who refuse to acknowledge the existence
Get
of the
emo
third
Spidey
movie.
out of here.
But that's actually my favorite of the 3 is just because it
Emo
was just so
Spidey.
ridiculous that it was just like really funny.
Pete's Delivery Boy Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. I actually think that Emily Deschanel, the actress who plays Bones, I think she actually played the receptionist when he was delivering pizzas.
Really?
Like, if you look at her, she's like either that's who it is or like she's got a clone.
Like a clone, exactly,
It
right.
might even be your sister, but like it's one of them. It's got to be.
Some
but
Deschanel.
just go watch just for that, and it's on the first 5 minutes anyway. But anyway, and the best thing about Homecoming was one of the best things is that Iron Man didn't steal from the film.
Yes.
That's what I was afraid of
He
when I saw the
added to
trailers.
it. Without, like, he did not subtract. Like, they didn't have him dominate anything. Like, he showed up, you knew who he was. Like, obviously, like, they tried to like throw him in there for maybe people who were a little less sure about it or needing to combine it in some way. But he did not take away from the movie, which was one of my biggest fears as well. Was like, are they just going to make an Iron Man with a splash of Spider-Man? No, it was definitely Spider-Man's movie. And
With like a cameo of Iron Man.
And I'm also going to shout out that it had. I like to applaud myself for being able to see movie twists before they happen. I did not expect one of the directions that it took. As soon as it happens,
You're
like we all like, I'm just like.
I remember everyone that was one of the first times ever everyone in the theater was like, yeah, like you hear it,
like, it just like, and we won't spoil it all, like, but just that moment, I was like, I have never seen something so and everything just clicked. Everything just made so much sense. And I was like, and normally that's like a very dangerous thing to do, because if you introduce something that just like, if you just introduce something that you haven't been like feeding to people like over the course of the thing, like filtering or whatever, it has a very high chance of like, there's like when you reveal, people are just like, what? Like, but that was one of those moments where it's just so mind blowing. I was just like, whoa. It just,
and you even
this is like this is like it's just so good, but we won't go anymore. Okay,
watch it.
Just watch it now.
Watch the movie. Yeah.
I can go on about like all the Marvel movies I saw that were great, like Thor Ragnarok. Oh my goodness, best Thor movie by far.
100%.
Head over heels and hammer and everything over the other two, because the other two, let's face it, were very meh.
Agreed.
They finally did things with the characters that they should have done. They finally realized like we should just make a laughing stock out of Loki, because that's exactly who he's supposed to be, and they just did it, and it was great. And I am going to do something. This is where the tilt comes. Tilt alert, tilt alert, tilt alert.
No.
All right.
Brace yourselves.
Buckle up.
Everybody should go see Justice League.
I was gonna say that too.
Yep. Go. But wait. Yes. But everybody. But no. Everybody should go see Justice
We
League.
got 2 for 4. Go see Justice.
But no. But here's
I'm really
why.
interested to see what you
Here's
have.
why though. Justice League. I went to go see it. I really, really wanted to enjoy it. I love like the mashup superhero films, all that stuff. You know, I've honestly haven't seen any of the individual movies except for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was great, by the way. You know, no matter what anybody says, it is just a female Captain America, first Avenger.
Basically.
It's exactly what it is, and if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Also, there are a lot of things wrong with that movie that we'll just like skip over. Number one, the villain thing was terrible.
Then I will destroy you.
Yes,
we talked about that in the podcast,
disappearing
yeah.
battleship that just miraculously didn't bombard their home like island to smithereens.
That's
just randomly,
right.
It just
I totally forgot.
Yeah,
Oh
there's
my
no
gosh.
like, where did the ship go? They very obviously can go through with planes and other mechanical devices. Where did the ship go? They're not just going to stop something that big suddenly. It's going to go through. The fact that it disappeared doesn't make any sense. Anyway, but the Justice League. The Justice League was fine. It was better than Suicide Squad.
I absolutely agree.
By like, Suicide Squad was trash, but like.
I'll even admit that.
Like, and I wanted to.
I won't
love
admit it about
Suicide.
any of the
I
other
wanted
ones,
to. I wanted to love Suicide Squad. It looked so awesome, but like it was just trash. But anyway, the reason why I think that, and there's no way that anybody higher up in like the DC, like Warner Brothers, is going to hear this, but the reason why I think people should watch Justice League is that, honestly, it should signal that to DC and DC fans that you should stop trying to be Marvel and do your own thing.
Yep.
Because
100%.
watch it, and like you've got all of these things, like you've got characters that have their own movies. You have your throw-in characters like Aquaman and the Flash, who by the way was god awful. I don't even like the TV show The Flash, and like that Flash is so much better than the one they chose for the movies. I don't know why they did. He runs terribly. He's comedic timing.
I remember watching that.
Yeah,
I remember because we had this conversation about the Flash.
Yeah,
before.
his comedic timing is terrible.
Even though he's the Flash.
Right. Yeah. Very forgettable character, but like it should. I think DC is better served creating its own individual things, like the Dark Knight. If they had just decided to go the direction of like, all right, like the Dark Knight. We didn't have anybody else in here. We had a couple like throw-ins, like, you know, all that stuff, but they were their own thing. I think if DC focused more on doing their own thing combined, they're better served because they're so far behind Marvel that there's just no real way that they can catch up.
And it's hard to see that. It's like they're trying so hard to catch up.
And I'm not inherently like a DC hater. Like, I'm not very familiar with all their things, but I'm sure there are a ton of characters that they have that deserve their own thing, that them just kind of tarnishing their own characters by trying to throw them on a big screen before they're ready or in a way that they're not is not good for the brand. Mm-hmm. And so I think that everybody should go see Justice League because it's just, it's a symbol to me as like, it's a symbol of hope. It's a river going through a thing. No, it should just be, this should be a symbol of why DC should just do their own thing. And that is why I think everybody should go see the Justice League, because you're going to walk away with it either agreeing with me or being on the reason why DC is just losing all the time.
Yeah, that's been my argument from the very beginning when they started. That's why I hated Batman versus Superman, because it just was like, what are you doing? Like, this is like, you are forcing this movie. You made this movie so you could make Justice League. You didn't make it as its own standalone film. It was basically to create plot points to be catalysts in Justice League. That was it. Like, if you take out Batman versus Superman, like, Justice League can't happen. Like,
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It's just like, wait,
well, and there's even
Superman's
stuff
dead.
Why? And we talked about that.
Exactly.
There's stuff in Batman versus Superman that I asked you guys about. That's like, wait, did they even like get back to that in Justice League? And like, nope.
Yeah,
there's so
like
much,
nothing happened.
There's so much confusing stuff in Batman versus Superman. Then I was like, did that get resolved at all in Justice League?
Yeah,
it did not.
I wholeheartedly agree. I would add though that, I would preface for myself, I actually really like the Flash in that movie.
I did too.
I think specifically because
character.
and I totally understand why, because I think in a couple ways he does have that kind of like childish, like, oh, I'm kind of immature vibe. But I think in a way I almost liked that simply because you have all these brooding 30-year-olds.
You have your Wolverine ripoff. I mean, I'm sorry, Aquaman.
Yeah, but basically, like you have these caricatures, and then you have this like voice of, I don't know what he's like the voice of like, why are we doing this? Like, why are you doing this? And
voice of reason.
There are some amazing moments in the film that are done as a result of his character, and as a result of his character make them like the payoff. So like when they're all fighting Superman,
that was my favorite
and then he's
scene.
like running around.
Oh,
and he's like,
I will say that cinematically that was just
and just his like, that was like watching him and his face just being like,
he's like, man, frick, I didn't know he
like, yeah, you're just like, oh
you're
no,
like, you're about
it's
to
gonna
get
be bad.
busted.
Yeah,
son.
that was
so it was. There's a few moments like
of course,
that.
and then at the very end when you find out that, no, I wasn't seeing things. He is just running really terribly.
Yeah,
at the very,
but I remember you showing us that slow-mo video.
That was pretty funny.
Oh my god,
it's like Phoebe from Friends.
Yes, Phoebe running from Friends.
I remember seeing that too, because I haven't seen Justice League, but I saw the video of him running, and it's like, who in their right mind was like, hey man, that was a really good run.
Can you do that again?
Like
or
that,
from a director,
like,
just being like,
you know
what, Barry, you did a good job out there. I'm gonna need more arms.
If you could just flail your arms, if you could just flail your arms as much as possible.
We know you're running, but try to look like you're swimming. Like,
you're swimming
I just
through the
want
lightning,
you to envision
the
this.
blue lightning.
You're sprinting and swimming at the same time underwater. and you're a prepubescent kid who doesn't know how to handle his body.
And you're also trying to dig through like a block of cement while you're swimming through
It's like, oh Lord. Anyway, I don't want to cut you off, but Justice League, it's worth watching. Essentially,
It is
It's like
worth watching.
It's
to see how bad DC is in the universe at the universe building.
I'm trying to think if there are like any other movies that I saw in 2017. 2017 wasn't a huge like movie going year for me. We'll save other movies that I've seen for top disappointments because I know that's coming up. It's top disappointment with lots of asterisks. And yes, that's actually how you pronounce that word, by the way. Just a little shout out. If you look at how it's spelled, it's asterisk. That is how it's pronounced.
not asterisk.
Not asterisk. Not asterix. Asterisk.
Asterisk.
And that is
Aster Rick. My name's Aster Rick.
yes, and that is a teaching moment from me, the Tilt Brigade Master. The commander,
Tilt
the
father.
lieutenant. Yes,
Tilt
exactly.
father
Yes,
Chris.
the Tilt father.
But the
Chris.
Tilt Father said to watch Justice League, so we're good.
Yes, watch Justice League. Like, please do. And I would love to hear reasons why I'm wrong. It takes a lot to make me admit that I'm wrong, but if anybody has ever seen my Facebook page recently, you will see that I will openly admit when I am. The most recent one was The Office. I finally actually watched The Office. And good Lord, I could have not been more wrong about a show being bad. That show was amazing.
I'm glad you figured around.
I don't like. Then the biggest reason is I didn't really like Steve Carell. But man, anyway, that's not what we're talking about. But case in point, I will admit when I'm wrong, and even when it's on, like when people don't say, "Hey, Chris, have you watched The Office?" You should publicly admit that you were wrong. No, I'll just do it on my own volition.
Send
like,
in an episode or a question I did.
Yeah, just like how about that should be the next episode. Chris admits all the things that he was wrong about. Chris,
I was wrong about my life direction. I was wrong.
Anti-Tilt Brigade.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes long. No.
Like Chris versus. Oh, you could do like a Scott Pilgrim, but like Chris versus the world.
Yes, just like.
That'd be a great
no,
scene.
have you seen the meme of the guy who's like sitting by the?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Oh, that was my phone. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to worry about it. But the meme of the guy who's like sitting with a cup of coffee at like a university and he's got a table and the front of it is
yeah,
a piece of
the
paper.
Crowder.
It's like,
Yep.
it's got like some really tilting statements, change my mind at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's
yes,
the Change My Mind series,
Yes,
Steven Crowder.
Yes, by all means.
We should.
like,
We'll make that. We'll make that as like the picture of it of just like your face on the dude and then that.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
It's pretty
Change
good.
my mind.
All right. I don't think I really have anything else to say.
Cool.
other
Else to
than-
recommend?
Yeah, believe it or not.
We'll scoot because we're
cranking
getting up there on
here.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool. I will go quickly. Just name off the movies I watched, and then I'm just gonna do like favorite movie and then movie I think everyone should watch. So Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Wonder Woman, Thor: Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Lego Batman, Baby Driver, and Your Name or Kimi no Nawa. So best movie of the year for sure for me was Your Name, Kimi no Nawa. Preface: it's an anime movie, so that already everyone, whoever's listening, is like, okay, that's why he did it.
Yeah.
That's why it's his
No,
favorite.
anime
But
movies are great.
anime movies are great, and this one is not a thing. Like when you say anime movie, people are going to expect still also like a Dragon Ball Z movie. No,
Battle of the Gods,
Battle of the
baby.
Gods, which I did watch.
Part 2.
That was a good one. No, Your Name is by Makoto Shinkai, and it is oof. It's I haven't gotten that emotional over a movie in a long time, but it got me emotional. To quickly summarize why you should watch it, well, like the reason why I don't say this as like a one movie everyone should watch is because it's like if you just are that vehemently against anime as a medium, okay, you're not gonna like it. Then you're just gonna watch it and be like, well, this is stupid. It's like, do you like anime? Well, no.
You're wrong. but-
It's like, okay, well then you're just misguided and misleaded on your opinions, but whatever.
Yes.
You
uncultured swine.
uncultured swine. Anyway, for me, there was a lot of things going for it. The soundtrack is amazing. It's by like this really popular Japanese, not like a J-pop band. It's like a Japanese. They're almost like I kind of want to say like a punk rock band, but they're more like pop-ish.
Are they like the band that got their own anime?
No,
Their lead singer is like the main character in an anime.
really.
I forgot what it's called. It's Guilty Crown, I think is what it's called.
Oh wait, that was based off a band.
I don't know, like but like the character is literally the lead singer of the band. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about Hayao Puffy Yamayumi from Cartoon Network back in the day.
Hi, Puffy Yami
Anyway.
Yumi. I remember that.
So
So okay,
Her-
sorry, yeah, I gotta finish.
her
with this.
name?
Your name.
His
your
name.
Your name. My name. Not
Their-
your. Not
their-
their name.
their-
I am me.
Your
Yes.
name.
I
Not
am
my
you. No, not you.
You're
Yes,
me.
you.
But who's me? We? Your Name, Kimi no Na was like, I say that more just because that's what it was. It aired in Japan in like 2016, but it came to America in 2017. So I was like, perfect.
Premise?
Premise. It's gonna sound. This is why it's my argument for why it's such a good movie. There is two high school students. One of them lives in like more high end Tokyo, like city area, metropolitan area. Girl lives in rural Japan, more on the outskirts of this one town, and they switch bodies. And I remember reading the premise and being like, because like before I had seen what the premise was, everyone was like, "This is such an amazing movie," and I read that, I was like, okay.
Yep. Insert all of the reasons why people hate anime right here.
Exactly.
This is why it's gonna go wrong.
I was like, this is the problem, and I was like, it's Freaky Friday, but
Yeah.
I was
thinking.
This can only go well.
I was like, this can only go well. Or no, I was like, this could only be bad. But everyone was still praising it, so I was like, okay, I'll still give it a shot. And I will say, even though it is like, the we switch bodies thing, they do it super, super well in terms of like the storytelling. Because like Freaky Friday is the only example I can use because that's the only other movie I could think of where they switch bodies.
There is another movie, and I think it's like Something Saints. Like it's like a really old. I used to have a VHS of it, and I lent it to someone and never got it back. But there is another movie that's like that where like I think the parents switch bodies, and they're like they were going through a divorce, and like the parents switch bodies. And I'm just gonna look it up and randomly shout it. Just like
go for it.
Keep going.
But
keep going. All right.
But to say you're saying that it can be done, a good like a story wise, a good use of switching bodies and stuff like that. Like it makes an interesting story, and that only serves as like a fourth of the movie, because even like in the middle there's this it's like there's like twists constantly, and there's twists happening, but the first big twist that happens, you're like, holy crap, that's where this movie's going. And then it just like throws off your whole expectations, and you're just like you're like pushing through. And I was in like, I remember I was kind of engaged, like this is a really good movie, but then when this certain moment happens, I was like on the edge of my seat the entire time, getting emotional, getting attached, being like, I want this resolution. Please let this resolve. It's like, please let this happen. Like,
and then they didn't give it to you, and you're like, no.
Yeah, no. Well, the resolution is great, and I won't say what it is, but like the only reason why I share only that premise is because like it's what I'll say why it was so amazing. It has such a simple, seemingly basic premise, but it turns into such an amazing story. And on top of that, the animation is like pristine. It is probably the best animated movie in my opinion. There's one sequence that happens that is just so it was like blowing my mind as I was watching it, just being like like I could comprehend what was happening in front of me, but it was such a dreamlike sequence, and the way it was animated, like the mix of hand drawn, the mix of computer, but it's like so masterfully blended. I was just like, yes, this is why I watch anime. Like my elite status. But so that's my favorite movie of the year, definitely, and probably one of my top 10 favorite movies for sure now. A movie that everyone should watch, and we've already kind of talked about it, so we can make a quick point, is Baby Driver, of course, because like Chris was saying, it's just so masterfully done. Cinematography and the use of the soundtrack being such an integral part is amazing. There is a YouTuber I was telling Josh about that I recommend if you just want to hear a dude do really good analysis on like anime, manga, movies. His name is Super Eye Patch Wolf, and he had a really great comment that I kind of stick to. He was saying this in terms of what makes a really good manga, and he said a good manga gives you an interesting story, interesting characters, and like, that's kind of the basis. He said a great manga pushes the boundaries of what a manga is and utilizes the medium in order to create a good story. So like that implies like using the panels to create movement, or like using the panels to symbolize the movement of emotions, or even like capturing emotions in this way and that way and stuff like that. So I say the same thing for movies, and Baby Driver is the perfect example of, like Chris was saying, is the soundtrack is utilized and pushed to like the fullest extent to the point where like gunshots are literally going to the beat of the songs. That was like, so satisfying. Yeah. I remember that I turned to Josh and was like,
I think my favorite, and then it also adds for comedic moments too.
Yes,
like just like the wait, stop, no, don't.
Yep.
Just like, what are you doing? Just like, hold on.
Oh, okay, go. And then
go.
this sounds it's just a brilliant movie, and it's just like a really entertaining story too. Like heist movies, I think always they're not well. Sometimes it can be just kind of like a throwaway storyline of just like, oh, it's a heist, they're pulling off a heist. But this one is done, so the focus is on obviously the driver, hence Baby Driver, and that's what makes it interesting. Is it's like you're focusing on the person that usually you don't focus on, and I think that just made it really interesting.
Yeah.
So,
and there's just a few things that they implemented into it that I think were just very cool. Like his stepdad, that was like one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Oh,
Like that, just the his whole like it just it
But
was
there
so
wasn't a lot of-
strange, but it was like to me
it added depth in a
it
way
was
that
so
just like
there was so much depth in just like the few times he's with him. It was astounding to me. It was just amazing. It like that movie was
him
just
touching
so
the
good.
speaker.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. So
Yeah.
good.
yep.
All right. And
But-
quick before we do anything else, the movie that I was talking about is called A Saintly Switch. It's from 1999. The father and the mother, the dad is the quarterback to the Saints, and the mother is just some other thing.
some
woman.
Some
Yeah,
lady.
I don't remember what she does because she's not the quarterback of the Saints. But then they switch bodies, so she has to be the quarterback for the Saints. And that's the conflict in the movie.
wow.
But yeah, that's what the movie was. But yeah, anyways,
Interesting.
carry on.
Philip, what you got, son?
Oh man, I can't choose between 3 movies that were my favorite movies of the year.
You can
One
say
was
choose
Logan.
among.
I loved Logan.
Logan
I
was
remember
fantastic.
seeing. I think we went.
Yeah,
with
we went to see
Gloria
with all our-
and Evan were there too.
Yeah, I think a bunch of friends and couples
Yeah.
went to go
And
see
it's
it.
just the
really-
first,
isn't-
just the
it's
first scene. I
incredible.
like leaned over to Evan. I'm like, I don't think you're gonna like this movie.
Yeah.
We watched Baby Driver, and Gloria was really like, oh my god.
Well, she can't watch Psych. Psych is a little too much. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah, Evan doesn't like Psych.
So you can
either. She
imagine
gets, like,
some of the things
freaked
that
out.
happen in
Wait.
Baby Driver, and it was
Wait.
like,
What?
So
She doesn't
should I-
like Psych?
no, she loves Psych, but the crime
The intense
danger
crime scenes.
suspense stuff
okay.
is like
Okay, so the
very-
intensity of it is where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what? Who doesn't like Psych? Okay,
Yeah.
we got it.
Anyway,
Okay.
so Logan
Uh,
was fantastic.
Logan. I watched that twice. I watched it in the neo noir version as well, which was interesting.
I kind of want to watch that.
It was interesting.
Neo
It came-
noir.
It's in black.
They
and
released
white.
it in black and white.
Ooh.
It was kind of cool.
That would be
I mean, it didn't add much to it, but I was gonna watch it a second time anyway, so I figured I'd.
For someone
check
who
it out.
hasn't seen it, should I watch it in black and white and then watch it?
I would watch it first in regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I would definitely recommend that. Tied with that is Dunkirk. I saw that in IMAX and it was amazing. Christopher Nolan is an amazing whatever he is director. Or
I
whatever.
wasn't sure
Just
how I
dude.
felt about that movie. Like I never watched it, but I was watching the credits. I'm just like, it just didn't seem like there was enough to make a movie that long.
It's like it's hard to describe why I liked it. I don't have all the terms that you guys have, but it's just like
I don't
yeah,
have
I don't have the education.
I'm not going to describe to you the horrors, even though I clearly have the vocabulary to like the colorful vocabulary to explain it. I'm deciding there as fast as they.
It didn't have like because usually Christopher Nolan's movies are like have a twist or like something, but like I think the thing that I liked most about it was the way that the movie used perspective, and so like things would be happening in one perspective and then it would shift to a different perspective and then the same thing would happen again, but like you don't notice it at first, and so like it would keep changing perspectives as like this giant event would happen, and like
That's pretty cool.
it's
That
just
is
like
cool.
shifting around, and like you'd think that would be disorienting and weird, and it was a little bit confusing, but like when you finally see everything kind of like come together and what happens, it just ends up being because like war movies are kind of like overdone in these films.
The reason
but
why I
like
didn't
this
watch
was
it is 'cause
Nothing
it's a
will be
war
banned
movie.
in
but this
Brothers.
was not but this was not like your usual war movie because you could tell he had a passion for this event and like all these different things coming together and happening, and so I thought it was really well done. Plus in IMAX it was just amazing because he filmed it with like an actual IMAX camera, and like even like those because the cameras are giant I think,
Yep.
and he would put them in like these tiny planes even and like just do all these crazy things with it, so it was amazing, and the sounds were just like holy crap. I think it won best sound design too at the Oscars, so it was just like you felt like you were on the beach and in these boats and in these planes, and
Especially in
just,
the
like,
IMAX, I imagine that
yeah,
was
it was insane.
the most immersive thing possible.
And I watched it by myself too because I was like, Evan, you want to go see a war movie? She's like, not really. I was like,
Nah.
all right, I'll just go by myself. And then third, tied with that, would be Blade Runner. I thought that movie was amazing. I've never actually seen the first one, so
Gotcha.
I'm curious if you just want to give a little bit, because I know for me, I've made it very. I've vocalized numerous times that cyberpunk is my favorite
Aesthetic.
genre aesthetic style, and so I was really biased of how just everything looked and stuff like that. But for you, especially not having seen the first one, what you thought?
Yeah, I think I'm a sucker for cyberpunk as well. It's not like my favorite thing, but I like my favorite things are like aesthetically anything aesthetics, which is why I like Fallout, because it's not necessarily like the greatest story arcs or anything, but it's just like the way that it makes you feel like you want to be in that world, even though it's like this destructive place. It's just like the aesthetic that draws you in. And so I feel like Blade Runner's aesthetic just like drew me in to that world, and it's like, man, I want to know what's going on here. And I thought the story was good too. And I definitely think the movie was a little bit long for what it was. But I think like just visually and aesthetically, I was just like blown away by it. I was like, holy crap, this is exactly what because it's one of those things where they tried to market it as like an action film, I think. And that's not what it was. And I kind of knew that's what it wouldn't be. And I was just going into it expecting like this amazing like world building experience. And I think that's what it delivered in my opinion. But I'm a sucker for cyberpunk, so, or anything futuristic, techno futuristic or dystopian and stuff. So yeah, I think those three were my top. Granted, I would highly recommend seeing any of the Marvel movies. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 improved on the first one. Thor was...
All right.
Thor...
Okay.
I think Thor was... in my opinion, I think Thor was actually better with like the action comedy ratio than any other Marvel movie so far, including Guardians, which used to hold the top spot for me.
Yeah, actually.
Because and that again, that movie, the aesthetic, I was just like, wow, this is like, it's weird how they like tied in like a futuristic
like
with
a futuristic steampunk port.
Yeah, it was like a futuristic steampunk, but it was also kind of a like 80s ish feeling a little bit. And it was just like, and the music on that movie too.
I actually didn't get the 80s vibe from it at all, except for the music. Like the rest of it, I was just like I honestly think they could have used a different soundtrack, and it would have been. I honestly think it would have been better. I think the 80s thing was forced on it, but it was still.
It was a lot in the trailers more than the
yeah.
actual film itself.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just like
because like Guardians of the Galaxy used it well because it played into the story.
Yeah,
like,
it played into
not as
the
much as,
actual
like,
character.
Yeah.
Like yeah, there was a reason that it existed. Not
another phone down.
Yeah. There was a reason it was like that. There wasn't a choice that was like unconscious.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, Thor was great.
And then I'd recommend most of the movies I saw, but I'd recommend Wonder Woman because it's a glimmer of hope in the DC
that
mess.
DC can do it. It could be done.
Luckily, they got the same director for Wonder Woman 2. So
it was not perfect, but it was a very entertaining.
It was,
like,
very
it wasn't
few
like
movies are perfect.
Yeah. It wasn't Batman versus Superman where I literally decided to do homework during the middle of the movie.
Yeah, it's an engaging movie. The second time I watched it, made me realize some things, but I think
where did that battleship go? Where did it go?
I actually never noticed that.
Just, like, appears
but
over
just
there.
like the crux of
Some
like
of the
the
messaging,
ending,
yeah.
it was like that I will destroy.
I believe in love.
Yeah.
And I will destroy
It's
you.
like if they could have just shifted that a little bit and it would have worked fine, but
Yeah.
they chose the cheesiest line you could come up with. And I would recommend Justice League, basically for the same reason that you suggested.
Really? Okay.
I also thought it was good. I don't know.
It was
Like-
it was fine. Like
I don't know how to express my opinions, but I feel like for me, I just like action movies. Like me and my brother just grew up watching every like Steven Seagal, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone movies. Like anything we could get our hands on, just people beating other dudes up and shooting and doing sick karate moves. And so like me and my brother still go see all the superhero movies, and we're like, that was a good movie. And then everybody else
He comes and talks to me, and I'm like, that was terrible.
yeah, and I'm like, I mean, and then it makes me look at it.
on you, Phil Sorensen.
And it makes me look at it in a different light, but at the same time, I'm like,
Yeah, no.
I personally think it was a good action movie, and like this, like the scenes at the end with Superman and stuff, I was rooting. I was like, all right, let's go. This is awesome. This is dope. And so, I mean, I think it's a good action flick. I think
wasn't bad.
it's a good superhero movie, not in the sense that Marvel has established what a good superhero movie is, but in like an old school pre-MCU superhero movie. I think it would have flown as like a good superhero movie.
Like yeah,
but
revolutionary even.
It's not even revolutionary. It's
it
not
would
like
have been.
It would have been if MCU didn't exist.
Yeah,
but like overall, I think it was a decent movie and worth seeing. So yeah,
Sweet.
All right.
That's my thing. So
I think you would be great.
What's-
We're at hour and a half. I don't know if I really don't have all the movies I saw. Like none of the movies I saw, I was extremely disappointed with.
yeah, my philosophy is if I saw
enjoyed
it, I
them.
didn't hate it because
Yeah.
I usually filter out as I'm going.
Yeah,
like
think
I know
that's
I'm
a-
good. Yeah.
So I'm willing to give Chris the ending soapbox to just.
Okay, Chris, you can soapbox and then we call it because I
Yeah.
should probably
All
get
right,
home.
no, okay, I won't make it that long, but no. All right, so top disappointing movie of 2017. Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
I was gonna say, I guess
all
so.
right.
We already had
Okay,
our soapbox.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say we all know. Yes, very disappointing movie. I actually recently watched the How It Should Have Ended for that movie. It was just released, and everything about that was better than any of the choices that they made in the thing. Which is
I
like,
might have to watch that.
I will
I've
show
seen
it
a
to
couple
you.
of their.
I will
other
show it to
things,
you.
Yeah.
It's so good.
We
But,
can throw it up on
yeah.
the TV.
Yeah, but how was it disappointing? It had so much potential as a Star Wars film, and I understand that like they're trying to establish the new Star Wars movies as their own entity, which obviously makes sense. The Force Awakens was just A New Hope reskinned. I loved it, but I will admit it, that's what they did.
Yep.
And there's just so many moments that they could have used in the Last Jedi to just make it amazing, but it just everything just was consistently a letdown.
I think I agree with that.
And even like the most controversial thing about that movie, which we won't spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but the most controversial part about that movie is
We've already spoiled it on this podcast.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I guess we'll continue with the spoilers. So when the hyperspace ramming is the most controversial part of that whole movie, and just like people who are like more into like the science and like the what's canon and what isn't, they just like they hated that they did that. Like but even despite that, like it was one of the most visually audio beautiful things on top like I've ever seen in my life. It was so beautifully executed. The choice, all of that was great. But the entire Canto Blight arc.
Oh, was that the casino place?
That was the casino.
Yep.
The
I was
casino.
just about to
that
say
that arc so bad. Rose, god awful character.
She does not. She like
doesn't
take her out of
belong.
the movie. It would have been a much better.
She's
movie.
like the female elf character in the Hobbit movies. That's what Rose is. And then just the possibility for there to be another Hoth battle, and then it just doesn't happen. Is just there's so many things about that were so disappointing. But the glimmer of hope is that there were a lot of things that the movie did amazing. Like the introduction of the ability to like speak to each other in a different time and experience, kind of like that whole like Snoke like
The
bringing them
projection
together
thing
by
or
the
whatever?
Force. Like that was awesome. The fight scene in the in Snoke's chambers,
That was
awesome.
dope. Yeah.
There were a lot of things that the movie did that were like individually really awesome, but cohesively it fell so flat with me. And as someone who, you know, I play 2 Star Wars RPGs a week, like I love Star Wars. I'm not like huge into like the extended, like all that stuff. Like all of my knowledge is basically from the movies and the TV shows, but like it missed the mark so much, and it made me so sad, and that is why it's the most disappointing movie. Obviously, you still have to see it.
It's still good. Like,
It's
a good action movie.
It's fine.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like my thing with it is every time I try defending it, I realize all I'm defending is like
The little tiny parts.
the little tiny parts, but like really Kylo Ren, Reyna, and Luke Ray and Luke Skywalker's relationship, and like on the planet and stuff in her training, and the fight in Snoke's chambers. Those are only really the 3 things that I defend constantly. Everything else I was like, I have varying degrees. I'm not just like all of that was disappointing, but like I definitely agree that whole sequence on the planet or the casino thing or whatever was just like
It's just not memorable.
didn't contribute. It
was the
contribute.
biggest soapbox moment
Yeah.
that Hollywood
Also,
could have
yeah.
put into a movie.
And on top of that, timing wise, just within the established amount of time that they had to get there
It was
and
such
back,
a dire situation.
it doesn't make any sense. They can't, because if you look at where they were just on the galaxy map, like where they were, like where they fled to like get to Canto Blight, and like the time that they had, they didn't have time. That travel would have taken so much more. It's kind of like the parsecs as a measurement of distance, not time. So whatever, but like they went and they retconned that, so they're gonna have to find a way to retcon like the timing of that as well. But like that's just something tiny on top of it. Yeah.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi, to sum it up, and then we can call it.
To sum it up like we did in the other podcast.
I think if I had to give a phrase for Star Wars: The Last Jedi, it's that Disney and Rian Johnson did not kill the darlings in the movie to save the narrative as a whole. They played up these singular moments to be like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then it completely ruined and detracted from the whole rest of the film. So it's like, so that scene, I vividly remember sitting in the theater when the ship just light speeds through all this stuff and just being like, oh my gosh, that was the coolest thing ever.
It was so awesome.
But then I was thinking about it more, and it was like, why didn't they do that like 4 movies ago? Like why? And granted, that's like where they. But it was, and then that just only opened up more questions of like, okay, then like, and also, why did they go to the casino? Because literally, if she just would have told Poe from the very beginning, "Hey, dog, I already got a plan. If you just simmer down a little bit, you'd be fine." But she like wouldn't tell him.
Yeah, there was a reason for that. They suspected that there was a spy, and so the less people
even
that
know
knew
that.
about. Well, they're being followed. So the Occam's razor is there's a spy. Someone who's literally leading them to you. So that's why, like, as far as operational security, like I my friend who hates the movie, like, and loves Star Wars, hates the movie, like, he is like, this is actually why she didn't tell Poe. Operational security. She couldn't risk that amount of information getting out to the Imperial's hands, because then they could have just been like, whatever. Like,
you're dead.
I also want to know how they didn't manage to know that there was a planet in that system. It just, like, there are a lot of things about that don't make sense. But that is why they didn't tell Poe.
Which I understand, but at the same time, it seemed like a cop-out to me, because if she does tell Poe something, Poe doesn't get the idea to, oh, well, I need to take it in my own hands. And if he doesn't do that, then the whole casino bit doesn't happen. And if that doesn't happen, then
although that is kind of Poe's character, like, he doesn't listen to authority.
Although Poe's character in that movie was fantastic,
right?
Yeah.
But I think that exact detail that's one of those details where you can't just let people assume. I think, oh well, it just makes sense that like logically they wouldn't tell people.
If they had like
ship.
some scene of like,
with that exact logic though, if Poe is the guy to go against everything, you tell the dumbass who, like, sorry, I had to say it, like, you tell the idiot who like is gonna go behind.
That's why we have
back
explicit labeled on our podcast.
Exactly. So like for that one moment, like then it's, if you know that's the trouble guy, like tell the trouble guy so he doesn't screw it up.
Just be like, trust me, there is a plan.
Exactly. Like there is a plan.
We could go on and on, but then we're gonna have another
freaking
podcast.
Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Phil, why don't you?
But we enjoyed 2017, and we enjoyed the movies that we have stated.
Yep.
So check them out. Even The Last Jedi 2.
And also,
They're all good movies.
This is probably the only time it will be recorded that Chris is recommending people watch Justice League.
Yeah.
Boom, we got it on record.
Yep. Go watch Justice League. Do it.
Use it against him in the future if he tries to reach a higher state of power in the country.
You supported Justice League.
Yes, but actually, you're taking it out of context. If you listen like 20 minutes before as to when I actually recommended
Chris.
it,
They don't listen.
They're not gonna listen to the whole thing.
They don't listen to context.
I will
at
just
all.
like take that little clip and be like, this is actually recorded from the same session from this time to this time.
It's just gonna be go watch Justice League. Go watch Justice League. Go watch Justice League.
That'll be the hit campaign when Chris is running for president.
Yes.
Do you want this man to be your president?
He said Justice League was worth watching. Not my.
And then they'll hold it against me when they all hate it. Be like, this man recommended Justice League. How could you let us down? Do you really want this man to be president?
Well,
Could you imagine all the directors in Hollywood? We need a safe space from Chris Rogers telling us to watch Justice League.
Oh my goodness.
This video is brought to you by Robert Downey Jr. running for presidency in the Marvel Universe.
Yes.
Oh my
Anyway.
gosh, that's funny. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We're glad to be back, and keep on listening in the future. We'll be back next week.
And don't forget about the stickers.
Don't forget about the stickers.
Please
Don't forget about the stickers.
Don't forget about the stickers.
Please give us
Grain
attention.
of salt coming.
or we're lying.